Miss Tangri.
The Raven's heir. Soon as one of them's caught, another one takes his place. Hey, Harold, have you read this? Harold? 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 You hear me? This is no time for fun and games.
Calm down. I'm a copper. We're on the same side.
A copper? What are you doing here? And where's Harold?
Harold? Well, there's another guard back there unconscious. That's probably him. The Eye of the Sphinx. Where is it?
It's there.
Oh, good. Then he hasn't got it yet.
You mean the Raven's heir?
Shh! Turn it off. He's gonna steal the eye.
But how do you know?
Doesn't matter. All that matters is that we catch him. Do you understand?
Yeah, but...
Do you understand? You and me, mate, we'll be heroes. All right, now, we just have to...
What?
Stop! You're under arrest!
Hands up!
I don't have time to play. I'm on duty.
Haha, you're funny. But you don't look like a real cop. You don't even have a revolver.
Why do you need the gun?
It's the Raven. He was gunned down, so now I need a pistol.
Dead birds don't need guns. Nor do live ones.
You don't know who the Raven is, do you? He's the greatest burglar ever. He stole paintings from the Louvre. And those priceless eggs with gold and diamonds and stuff. And Bobby Dobbs says he replaced the crown jewels with rhinestones.
I know who the Raven was. Although, I don't quite buy that bit about the crown jewels. You do know these days there are thieves far more dangerous than your old Raven. 2 days ago, a precious ruby was stolen from the British Museum. There was an explosion. A guard was severely injured.
Really?
Yeah. And you know what the papers say?
You talk too much, Constable.
Zellner, monsieur. Anton Jakob Zellner.
Or did he pull a gun on you?
No, monsieur.
Get a move on.
Inspector Legrand, it's a great honor to work with a celebrity like you.
We appreciate the support of the Swiss police, but it'd be better if you'd remain seated and keep an eye on things.
But monsieur, your journey on this train is most unusual. Is it related to the burglary at the British Museum?
Not in the least.
And the safe? What's that for?
I'll let you know if we need your help, Constable. If you'll excuse me, I'll be in the first freight car at the back of the train for the rest of the trip.
I'm not here to enjoy the beautiful scenery. I am a good observer, and I have finely honed powers of deduction.
Thanks to that?
I watched the people on the platform in Zurich. I know, for example, that man over there is a violinist.
That would be more impressive if there weren't a violin case next to him.
And I believe that the gentleman in the next carriage is a German doctor on his way to Italy to take up a new position.
And what gives you that idea?
Asclepius engraved on his cufflink. And he's carrying a German-Italian dictionary.
Maybe he's just taking a holiday in Italy, following in Goethe's footsteps.
Too much luggage. And no, he's not retiring to Italy either. The suitcases are too shabby for me to believe that he can afford to retire in his late 50s.
All right then, Constable...
Zellner.
Constable Zellner. If you're such a clever fellow, what am I doing on this train?
I think you're guarding something.
Oh, really? And what might it be?
I really couldn't say. But it must be very important.
Why is that?
Because you are very important. They wouldn't have assigned the case to you if it were just a trifle.
Let's assume that we really are transporting something very important on this train. And let's assume that it really is my job to see that it arrives safely. Then why isn't the train crawling with police?
You don't want to arouse attention.
Évident. But why not?
There are enough police on this train as it is. If there were more, they'd only get in each other's way.
I can assure you that I'd pack every seat in every carriage of this train with police, if it were a matter of deterrence.
You're saying you don't want to scare off potential thieves? Ah, you're laying a trap.
That would explain why it's just me, and not the army in this panel. All the same, I can't comment on your speculation. Well, that is impressive, I admit. But the fewer people involved, the better. We'll get along fine without you.
You won't.
Won't? Pardonnez-moi.
I can help, and I will help. You're in my country, and I've been ordered to assist you. And that's exactly what I'll do, whether you like it or not.
Clever and stubborn. Your commitment speaks volumes, Zellner. But this is my show, and I don't need you. Bon voyage.
But how do you know? Oh, hello.
You cheated.
I did what?
I saw you talking to the German doctor on the platform. He told you everything himself, and you were just pretending to put two and two together.
And what of it? Do you know who that is? That's Inspector Nicholas Legrand. You have to impress him if you want to work with him.
I'm going to tell on you.
You'd really tell on me? To the very policeman who shot your dear Raven?
Whoa, it was him?
Mm-hmm. Hunted and killed Europe's most famous burglar. That's how he got his start.
I won't tell him a thing.
I wouldn't either. What's your name again?
Matthew Miller, from Dillsburg, Pennsylvania.
All right, Matthew Miller from Dillsburg, Pennsylvania. I have to do my work now.
Everyone calls me Matt. Well, except for my mom. She calls me Maddie, as if I were a little kid.
Whether Legrand wants my help or not, I'll keep my eyes open. Maybe I can change his mind. All right. Vicarage in the Mirror, a detective novel by my favorite author, Lady Clarissa Westmacott. For years now, I've been trying to convince my theater group to stage one of her plays. This is the first car. The coal tender should be directly beyond this door, and in front of it, the engine. The large map shows the different routes of the Orient Express. This train began in Paris and ends in Istanbul, as usual. Unfortunately, it will make most of its journey without me. The violinist is a good-looking fellow, and he's traveling through the most beautiful mountain landscape in the world. One can only hope that his violin is better tuned than he. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Are you traveling to Istanbul non-stop?
No. I'll transfer in Venice to a ship. I'm on my way to Cairo.
Cairo?
I'm performing at the reception in the Egyptian Museum there.
I'm sure your recital will be a great success. But tell me, did you notice anything unusual on the train?
Anything unusual?
Persons acting suspiciously, for instance.
For heaven's sake, is there cause for concern?
Everything is in order, sir. We Swiss are just very cautious people.
I understand. No, I didn't notice anything.
Have a good trip.
Thank you.
Very kind of you. Thanks. Oh, pardon me.
No problem. The uniform is waterproof. Mr.
Lucian. Professor Edgar Lucian.
Oh, a professor. Are you a scientist? Do you teach at the Sorbonne?
No, I work at the British Museum in London.
You don't say. May I ask where you are going?
Of course. To Venice. I'm going to meet some colleagues there.
Oh, Venice. A beautiful city, or so I'm told.
Indeed. But I really have to take my leave now.
Just one more thing. Did you notice anything unusual on...
Here. On... Although I did spend most of the time in my compartment.
If you work in the British Museum...
No, I would...
Oh, no?
There was a lot of commotion, but I did...
There was a break-in in your museum, and it didn't come...
Well, let's just say that nothing...
Whatever you say. The famous Inspector Legrand is on this train. I imagine you know him.
No, should I?
You don't know him? And you also don't know what he's doing here?
No. Why should I?
Just a thought. You're a representative of the British Museum. There's a guarded safe on the train.
I'm sorry. I don't know what you're trying to imply. And now, please excuse me.
I don't want to take up any more of your valuable time, but you do understand, don't you, that what concerns me is the present, and especially the robbery at the museum.
Yeah, of course, of course. It's just... I'm in rather a hurry.
You'll get in touch if you notice anything unusual, won't you, Professor?
Of course, Constable. What's this?
What's the matter, sir?
The door. I can't open it.
Ah, we'll sort it out somehow. The compartment is locked.
But I didn't lock it. I don't even have a key. I asked the steward. He was going to bring me one, but he never came back.
Someone locked it.
Find the steward. He needs to bring me the key immediately.
Calm down, Professor. I'll see what I can do.
You don't understand. I have to get back in my compartment.
All right, just wait here. The little label on the door reads Baroness von Trebitz. Blue blood on the Orient Express. I don't believe it. I never thought I'd ever meet you.
Pardon me, but we'd prefer...
It's all right, Miss Miller. I'd like to speak to the inspector.
Unfortunately, just a constable, Lady Westmacott. I'm reading The Vicarage in the Mirror right now, for the 5th time at least.
That's nice, Constable...
Zellner. Anton Jakob Zellner.
This is my companion, Miss Miller.
A pleasure. May I ask what you're doing here? Are you on holiday?
Holiday? Yes, so to speak. The first and last holiday of my life.
Madam?
I've been writing since I was a little girl. It became my job, and now I've stopped. So, this must be a holiday.
You quit writing? Impossible. I have all of your books. Your Detective Partout is my favorite character.
Then I have bad news for you. I killed the old wretch off years ago.
I don't understand.
I'd rather not discuss my work, Constable.
Oh, well, fine. As a writer, you must be very observant. Am I right? I mean, you have to study the behavior of people around you to create the characters in your novels, don't you?
I solved the mystery of human nature a long time ago, Mr. Zellner. Since then, most people just bore me.
Really? I had the impression you were eyeing me suspiciously as I came in.
What do you want to know, Constable?
Did you notice the blonde man with the violin case?
I certainly did. He introduced himself and tried to make a good impression. People like him are drawn to wealth and fame, like moths to a flame.
But his charms failed on you.
I know him by name. David Kreutzer. He was a drain on my friend's purse.
Do you think he has a money problem?
People like him always have a money problem. No matter how much you give them, they always spend twice as much and complain that they have far too little.
Did you notice the man who just walked into the next carriage with a cup of tea?
I did. He seemed nervous. He was waiting at the bar for the steward, and since the steward never appeared, he elected to help himself. He took 2 biscuits.
He seems pretty young, but he's already a professor at the British Museum.
Interesting. I'll have to talk to him later. Just out of courtesy, of course.
Of course. Did you notice anyone else? What about the doctor?
I notice that you've asked me about everyone, except for the inspector who went in the direction of the freight car a few minutes ago. Isn't that the Frenchman who made his name when he caught the Raven?
I wouldn't quite say caught.
Well, shot. Why don't you ask me about him and my theory about what he's doing here?
I don't think we should discuss Inspector Legrand's investigation in public.
Legrand, right. That was his name. Will he save the day again? Or will you, Constable?
Are you traveling to Istanbul, Lady Westmacott?
No. We are on our way to, as you may know, I traveled to Egypt by ship as a young woman.
I see. As much as I'd like to keep talking, duty calls.
You were right.
Madam?
I did observe you as you came in. You seemed so eager.
It's been a long time since I've had a chance to prove myself, madam.
And this is it? Your charm?
I do hope so.
Then grab it. Even small people can make big changes. As
I shall do my best. Mrs. Miller made a good impression. She wanted to protect Lady Westmacott from me, a pushy admirer. Very diligent. But she does seem a little nervous and tense. I imagine she has her work cut out for her with Matt. And a difficult boss, from what they say. Mrs. Miller?
Yes?
The little boy, Matt, he's your son?
Oh, yes. Has he done something?
No. I've already met him. Clever little fellow.
We always call him Professor because he's so precocious. If only someone could just drive the mischief out of him.
Did you notice anything unusual on the train?
Oh, I'm afraid not. I was totally focused on my work.
she's always got an awful lot to do, my Mary.
You have to tell me if that's not all right with you.
Good.
So, nothing out of the ordinary.
No, Constable.
Goodbye, Mrs. Miller.
Goodbye, Constable.
The steward must have forgotten the toothpicks. Normally he would offer them discreetly after dinner. I suppose the steward won't object to me having a look around in his absence. Butterscotch. I've loved them since I was a child. Their only drawback, they don't play nice with false teeth. A shortwave radio. It's amazing how small these things have become in the last 10 years. Perhaps he keeps the compartment keys in there. Locked. Where could he be? The pad on which the steward writes orders, empty. Maybe he didn't use it because there's not much to do today. I don't need the pad, but the pencil. The drawer is...
Mr.
Zelda.
Right. How can I help you?
Tell me, did you notice anything suspicious here on the train or in Zurich?
You mean, except for the fact that my suitcase was stolen on the platform? No. Is there any reason to be concerned?
No, just routine.
Constable Zellner, please don't think I'm naive. I spotted the inspector from Interpol. Legarde is his name, if I recall correctly.
Legrand.
If you say so. At the train station in Zurich, he put a cash box into the safe, and then kept close watch as it was loaded onto the train. Don't tell me that a man at his pay grade routinely tramps across the Alps just to keep an eye on cash boxes.
A cash box? Like the ones you'd find in safe deposit boxes?
Precisely. And I believe we both have a good idea just what's inside.
I do indeed have a theory, but what's yours?
A ruby was stolen in London. One of the legendary Eyes of the Sphinx. The second jewel, an emerald, is rumored to be in a Swiss bank vault, if I remember correctly. Both jewels were supposed to be exhibited together in Cairo for the first time in 50 years. It does make one wonder.
Indeed. Any news about the robbery in London?
Quite something, wasn't it? It must have been professionals. The way they disabled one of the best security systems in the world. Most impressive.
People were injured.
Well, one cannot execute a robbery of that scale without collateral damage. It seems like the Raven has finally found a worthy successor. We can look forward to new and spectacular coups.
I'm afraid I won't enjoy his exploits this time around if the new Raven is so reckless.
That's your prerogative.
May I borrow your newspaper?
You can take the section with the article on the burglary. You're interested in that bit, aren't you?
You caught me out.
Here you go.
Dankeschön. There's something else. Do you know where the conductor is?
I'd like to know that myself. I told him to search for my missing suitcase in Zurich. He hasn't got back to me yet. He's probably in cahoots with the thieves, and didn't bother getting back on the train. If we don't crack down on vermin like them, the rabble will rule the world one day.
Well, at the moment, we still don't know what really happened.
He's not here doing his job. That's bad enough.
Auf Wiedersehen, Dr. Gebhardt.
Goodbye, Constable. It was a pleasant chat, really.
The ladder leads up to the roof. It will be suicidal to climb up there while the train is at full speed. The wind, tunnels... no, I'll stay down here. A box with a padlock. I suppose it contains tools for the train's crew, maybe for coupling and uncoupling the cars. At any rate, it's positioned so that it's easier to reach from the ground than from up here. I strongly suspect that the door is locked. No, it's open. Hello? Wow.
Don't move a muscle, you feathered fiend.
Put the gun down, Robert. If I may introduce Constable Robert Oliver from the Yard. And this is the revered Constable Zellner of the Swiss police, who obviously couldn't control his curiosity.
Then I was right. You really do want to lure someone into a trap.
That's none of your business.
Perhaps that someone recently struck in London.
And how would I bait my trap then?
With an eye? An eye on its way from Zurich to Cairo?
Someone has done his homework. Well done, Constable.
What do you know of this Raven's heir?
He tried to blow me up.
Robert, we don't know who we're dealing with yet.
In any event, the new Raven is a more dangerous man than the old one.
How do you know it's a man? It could just as easily be a woman.
Or several men.
And anyway, how do you know that it's a new Raven?
Monsieur?
Never mind.
I hope you'll acknowledge that I, as a Swiss policeman, can undertake investigations in my own country.
Are we still in Switzerland?
I could be your eyes on the train, as long as you're here in the freight car.
Oh, really?
There is a certain Professor Lucien on the train. He's an archaeologist from London.
And what's his story?
Well, it seems someone locked him out of his compartment.
Locked him out?
Well, yes. The door is locked and he's standing outside without a key.
Was it locked from inside?
It may have been. Do you think the locked door could be important?
Professor Lucien plays an important role in this story. Well then, Constable Zellner, be my eyes and ears on the train and see that Professor Lucien gets back into his compartment. Report back to me when you're through.
My pleasure, monsieur. I go attend to the door now.
Good. And, Constable Zellner?
Yes?
Don't bother us unless you have something new to report.
Of course. A thief might get anxious if there's too much activity in the freight car.
Exactement. Knock twice. Then we'll know that it's you.
Understood. An investigation on behalf of Legrand that takes me one step closer. If I can convince him of my competence, I might even be able to see this case through to the end. Who would have thought that one day butterscotch would
what is it?
Whoever that is, James, ask them whether they found my purse and then closed the door. The noise on this train is driving me crazy.
You're missing a purse. Was it stolen?
At the very least, I cannot find it, sir.
It was stolen.
When did you... When was the last time the Baroness saw her purse?
What?
In Zurich, on the platform, sir.
I just asked where you last saw your purse.
In Zurich on the platform. James, tell him that I still had it when I got out to stretch my legs.
The Baroness says...
Maybe you lost it there.
What?
The Baroness never loses anything, sir.
I never lose anything.
Very well then. I shall be on the lookout for your purse. If I might ask you a few questions about your fellow passengers.
I thought he was looking for my purse. James, tell him to look for my purse.
The Baroness wishes that you search for her purse.
But couldn't we perhaps... All right. First, the purse. I will have a look around.
Thank you, sir.
He doesn't make a very balanced impression. And he, of all people, isn't bothered by a robbery in his own museum. Perhaps a thoughtful conductor noticed that Professor Lucien wasn't in his compartment and locked it. You can easily lock the compartment door from inside by turning a little knob.
But I didn't lock it.
Professor, if you had locked the door from in there, you wouldn't be out here.
That's true.
Professor Lucien?
Yes? Do you have the key?
Actually, I wanted...
Please. I have to go back to my compartment.
I don't... The bolt is too... Should I ask for an autograph? That would be quite unprofessional. But on the other hand... If I may trouble you once more... A passenger is missing her purse. Perhaps you've seen it.
So, there are thieves on the train.
It's been missing for some time now. Probably since Zurich.
The Swiss don't let go of money easily, do they? Oh, pardon me. No, I haven't seen the purse.
Have a good trip.
Thank you.
There could be many... My money. I don't know what more to ask. He hasn't... The violinist is a good-looking fellow, and he's traveling through the most one can own. There could be many reasons for my money. We Swiss are crazy about trains. We don't just have a lot of...
Would you be so kind as to close the window? I don't want to sit in the draft.
Oh, pardon me. I have no reason to bother the violinist. He can stay in the stuffy hay if he prefers. The train covers a distance of... In many cities, they... I don't know what more to add. There could be many my money. The violinist is a good-looking... One can only... I don't know what more... There could be my money's on... He doesn't make a very balanced impression. And he of all... First, I'd better see about getting... It doesn't seem like I'll get anything out of him as long as the... I need the right key or a prop. Mrs. Miller?
Yes?
A passenger's purse has gone missing. I suppose you haven't seen it.
Sorry, no.
Nor have I.
Have you asked my little boy? Maddie is good at finding things.
I haven't asked him yet, but I will. Goodbye, Mrs. Miller.
Goodbye, Constable.
Mrs. Miller made a good impression. She wanted to protect Lady Westmore, but she does seem... I imagine she has her... An extraordinary woman. Yet... Excuse me. The
Constables.
I was wondering if you might...
Sign your book, Constable Zellner?
If it isn't too much of an inconvenience.
Of course it's an inconvenience, but only a small one. You are welcome.
Thank you so very much. Another time. Farewell, Lady Westmacott.
Constable?
The steward probably these days need... I need a bit of while. This is the steward's own little kingdom. But as long as he's not around, he won't be upset if I take a look. A shortwave radio. It's a... A shortwave radio. This is the steward's own little kingdom, but as long as he's... I made the of Dr. Gebhardt on the platform in Zurich. Hello, Dr. Gebhardt.
Ah, Mr. Zellner.
I meant to ask, the Baroness is missing her purse.
A Baroness? This train is really full of the creme de la creme. The Queen of Crime is over there, and now a Baroness as well.
Have you seen the purse?
Unfortunately, no. Do you know Lady Westmacott? You were talking to her.
Well, I'm an admirer of her work.
Like so many others. I once read in the newspaper that only Shakespeare and the Bible sell more copies than her crime novels.
I read that too.
She must be filthy rich. As a doctor, I'd have to work 1,000...
Auf Wiedersehen.
Goodbye, Constable.
The Baroness seems to have, I better not bother her. He doesn't make, and he of all... The violinist, the one can only... I don't know what... I have no reason to bother. We Swiss are... We don't just have a lot. We don't just have a lot. Locked.
Bang, bang!
Uh-huh.
Don't move!
Mad, have you gone mad?
I'll shoot! Hey, my pistol!
You'll get it back in Venice. I could have fallen under the wheels.
I thought you were a ghost.
Ghosts don't exist.
They do too. One just flew past the window.
Yes, yes, sure. Now get moving.
Oh, man.
Constable?
Yes, ma'am.
My son didn't make any trouble for you, I hope. It's just that he just walked past us, silent and seething. That's usually a sign that someone's laid down law.
I'm afraid so. He played a trick on me, a rather dangerous one. The lad left me no choice but to take away his wooden pistol as a punishment.
I understand. And thank you. Maddie is a very lively child. Sometimes he needs a strong fatherly hand.
Where is Matt's father, if I may ask?
He's gone.
Ah, I understand.
Could you, leave Maddie's pistol here, perhaps? So you don't have to bother with it?
Of course. I told him he wouldn't get it back until Venice.
Very well. Thank you again, Constable.
I think it's uncomfortable. Although Mrs. Miller made a good impression. She wanted to protect Lady, but she does seem... I imagine... Are you going to be angry with me for the rest of the trip?
Until I get my pistol back.
I gave it to your mother.
Oh, man. Couldn't you have just raked me over the coals?
Would you have learned anything from that?
I didn't learn anything from this either.
Matt doesn't really seem to be content. Come on, did you really think that you can ignore... I'm Swiss. It's practically a national sport. Matt is digging in his heel. I won't get anything out of him as long as he... Matt is digging in... I won't get anything... is digging in his heels. I won't get anything out of him as long as he's angry with me. Matt is digging in his heels. I won't get anything out of him as long as he's angry with me. Would you like a butterscotch?
You think you can bribe me?
I have no reason to. You made trouble and got punished for it. Take it as a peace offering.
Just 4?
If I'm faster than you, there'll only be 3.
Hey!
Friends again?
Mm-hmm.
All right then. And no dangerous nonsense anymore.
Okay.
Something completely different this time. The Baroness in the second compartment over there is missing her purse. Do you have any idea where it could be?
Do I ever? That guy over there with the violin case?
What about?
He picked up something in Zurich and put it in his violin case.
Really?
Yeah, and he made sure that nobody saw him.
But you saw him.
Uh-huh.
Did you also see what it was?
Nah, not really. But now that I think of it, it must have been the Baroness's purse.
I should look into it, shouldn't I?
I think so.
Your mother is Lady Westmacott's companion, correct?
Yeah, but it's not like you think. At first I thought, boy, you must be really wicked if you need to pay for friends. But the lady's really okay. A bit odd and really old. But
the lady has...
Hey!
You and your mother, do you both live on Lady West...
I'm only there for the holidays. Most of the time I'm at boarding...
I imagine...
No, it's fine. You always have to be so quiet.
Such a big house with so...
You said it.
And how long has your mother worked?
2 years.
And your father? What does he do?
He stayed home. I used to go fishing with him. And hunting. He even let me shoot a real...
And then?
Then Mom fought. I was 7.
Oh. And, how old are you now?
In 8 months, I'll be 9 years old. No. We'll see.
Really? You need a lot of talent for that. I'm an actor.
You are?
I get really deep into my... I don't just talk like the character. I think like him. I become him. It's the only way to... Matt, are you okay?
I think you just have to be good at copying things to be an actor.
That wasn't bad. Disturbing, but not... Tell me, have you seen the steward anywhere?
No. He was walking around a little while ago, though.
Hopefully they didn't forget him in Zurich.
What's he supposed to do?
I'm looking for a key to open a compartment door.
Did you check his things behind the counter?
I'm sure the drawers will be locked.
Can't you break it open? Or pick the lock like the Raven?
Perhaps. But I'd need a piece of wire or something like that.
Ask my mom. She has a lot of hairpins. She doesn't like the wind messing up her hair.
So long.
So longer.
The violin case looks pretty old, but that doesn't say anything about the best violin. I doubt the violinist will let me have a look in his case. Excuse me, sir. About the purse.
Ah, yeah. Had it been found?
Someone saw you with your violin case on the platform in Zurich.
What's the meaning of this?
Nobody said you did. I just wanted to ask you whether you might have noticed anything on the platform.
Ah, well...
Why did you think I was accusing you?
Well, I thought...
Apropos, may I have a look at your violin? It must be a very extraordinary piece.
Oh, that's not possible. It's a genuine Guarneri.
Very valuable.
Very. And also very sensitive.
What could harm it here? Light? Air? May I ask you to open the violin case?
No, you may not. I'm not guilty of anything.
I'm afraid I have to insist.
Then I'm afraid you need a warrant. I will not stand back and let you rifle through my belongings.
Have a good trip.
Thank you.
I think the violinist is... But to be sure that Matt was right, I have to get a look in the violin case. How can I do that without the violinist's consent? Pills for my heart. I'm supposed to take one if I have trouble. My daughter insisted that I take them with me. She was strongly against this little adventure, but I wasn't about to change. I think the violinist is hiding, but to be sure, how can... I bought it last week at a flea market. I suppose. I think the violin, but to be sure, how can I... The bolt is too short to get a good grip on it. I'm at a loss without a key or a proper tool. The bolt is too short to get a good grip on it. I'm at a loss without a key or a proper tool. The door is locked. I'm at a loss without a key or a proper tool. The bolt is too short to get a good grip on it. I'm at a loss without a key or a prop. I'm at a... The bolt is too short to get... I'm at a loss. The wooden toothpicks are packed into small paper wrappers. Nothing unusual. Stuart's pencil. Probably one of the most traveled pencils in the world. The Baroness seems to have... better not... I need a bit of wire or something like that to pick the lock. This is the steward's own little kingdom, but as long as he's not a... There are thousands of things I would like, but nothing... Mrs. Miller made a good impression, but I imagine... Mrs. Miller?
Yes?
Please excuse my unusual request, but Matt said you have some hairpins. Could I borrow one?
One of my hairpins?
It's a long story. It would be a big help.
Well, if you really...
Go ahead, Mary.
Of course not, madam.
Is this one okay?
It'll do nicely, madam. How very kind of you. Goodbye, Mrs. Miller.
Goodbye, Constable.
I need a bit of wire or something like that to pick the lock. I don't want to imply that I'm an expert, but I think that this could pick a normal lock. I need a bit of wire or something like that to pick the lock. And suddenly, it's me who's the thief on the train. Oops, that was easier than expected. Batteries, a toothbrush, a shaving brush, but not the key to the compartment door. Just this one. Too small for the door, but it might still be useful. The box is secured with a padlock. The box is... That's it. There we go. This should help. I have everything I need. My grandfather was a blacksmith when I was at my mom, but I never heard. Inspector Legrand?
Anything to report?
Baroness von Trebitz told me that she's missing her purse.
Baroness von Trebitz? Interesting.
Indeed, sir.
But it has nothing to do with our case.
So I shouldn't concern myself with the matter.
Why not? But don't expect me to be particular.
I'll get back to work.
Good.
Inspector Legrand was quite clear. I'm only to enter the freight car if there's news to report. I'd better let him read his news. I'd better let him read his newspaper. I'd better let him read his news. I'd better let him read. I made the acquaintance of Dr. I made the acquaintance. I'd better let him read his news. I made the acquaintance of Dr. Gebhardt on the platform in Zurich. I'd better let him read his newspaper if I don't. An extraordinary woman. Talented, intellectual, extremely rich, and the most successful writer of all time. Yet, they say she can be difficult on occasion, and that she's rather unhappy. Mrs. Miller made a good impression. She wanted to protect Lady Westmacott from me, a pushy admirer. Very diligent. But she does seem a little nervous and tense. I imagine she has her work cut out for her with Matt, and a difficult boss from what they say. Mrs. Miller?
Yes?
Thank you for your hairpin, Mrs. Miller. It really got me out of a jam.
Oh, really? That's good to hear. And thank you for bringing it back to me. Not everybody would have.
I'm a Swiss policeman, madam. I couldn't do otherwise even if I tried. Goodbye, Mrs. Miller.
Goodbye, Constable.
Mrs. Miller made a good impression. She wanted to protect Lady Westmacott, but she does, I imagine. My grandfather was a blacksmith. When I was a child, I used to play with tongs and hammers in his workshop. My mother never cared for that. She was always worried about my little fingers. But I never hurt myself seriously. I'm quite clever with tools. He doesn't make a very balanced impression. And he, of all people, isn't bothered by a robbery in his own museum. I bet I could really get a grip on the bolt with these.
Well, come on then, hurry up.
Hello?
window ajar?
Nothing to see.
Ah.
Are you okay?
Yes. Fine.
Do you have any idea why the door was locked?
I don't know. Maybe the constant vibrations caused the lock to lock itself.
You can't possibly believe that.
Well, then what's your theory?
The conductor could have locked it from the outside. On the other hand, it could have been someone here in the compartment who locked the door from the inside.
Who? And where have they gone?
They could have climbed out there.
Who would be that insane?
You tell me, Professor. So, what are you hiding in your bag? What do you have that would be worth stealing?
No, nothing.
No valuables?
Certainly not. Not on my salary.
It was enough for a first-class compartment on a luxury train.
That's my business.
You're playing a dangerous game, Professor Lucien. I'd like to look around a bit.
Of course.
Assuming there really was someone in the compartment, and he climbed out the window, where's he gone? Did the burglar leave any clues? Here's something. Might be fingerprints. They're tough to make out, but I do believe there are some prints on the window. If I had a forensics kit, I could make the prints visible with carbon powder. I really wonder what the professor is hiding from me. But I can't just rifle through the luggage of innocent citizens. This is the 60s. Wow. That's a very nice fountain pen. Pricey.
If you'd managed to decode hieroglyphics that boggled the best minds of the last 3,000 years, you'd have received a gift like that as well.
No, nothing interesting. Bible, Grimm's fairy tales, Moby Dick, and gin, whiskey, and rum. All classics. What's this?
What do you have there?
It's a button. From a suit or a uniform, I guess.
The burglar might have lost it.
Maybe. Or maybe not. If I notice anyone with a missing button on his jacket, I'll ask him about it. But I wouldn't get my hopes up. If there was a burglar, he climbed out the window and jumped off the train. They're tough to make out, but I do believe if I had a forensic... Goodbye, Professor.
Goodbye.
Professor Lucien.
Door is open.
How can I help you, Constable Zelda?
I'd like to have a look around the compartment.
Oh, of course.
He's hiding something from me, and I have to find out what it is. Professor Lucien?
Yes?
Oh, nothing.
Well, good.
He's hiding something from me, and I have to find out. tough to make out, but I do. If I had a... They're tough to... If I had a... Goodbye, Professor.
Goodbye.
I think the violinist is hiding something, but to be sure that Matt was right, I have to get a look in the violin case. How can I do that without the violinist's consent? I think the violinist is hiding, but to be how can I do... I think the but to be how can I... All right, Matt, tell me now. The violinist won't let me check his violin case.
Of course he won't. He's hiding something. Should I distract him? Then you can have a look in his case.
What do you suggest?
I could tell him there's a suitcase full of money in the next carriage. If he's a thief, he'll definitely want to take a look at it.
I don't think he'll fall for that.
Or I can insult him and then run away. He'll try to catch me, and you'll have a chance to look in that violin case.
Now that I think about it, this is something I have to attend to on my own. It would be expecting a bit much from a little boy.
Little boy? You must be kidding.
Sorry, Sheriff, but your idea about distracting him is good all the same. So long.
So longer.
The kid's not on the warpath anymore. I don't think he'll be causing any more trouble. For the next half hour, anyway.
What are you doing? Didn't I make myself clear? The window stays closed.
You're not alone on this train. I want the window open.
Swiss politeness doesn't seem to be what it used to be. I'm not going to catch a cold because of you. Go somewhere else if you don't like it.
Matt says the violinist put something in his violin case on the platform. Seems suspicious somehow. The question is... The violinist is uncooperative. I have to come up with something. That makes no sense. The violinist would close the window immediately, and I wouldn't have enough time to search his violin case. We Swiss are crazy about trains. We don't just have a lot of railroads. We have the most beautiful ones in the world. I think the violinist is hiding something, but to be sure, how can I think the violinist is, but to be sure, how can I? That makes no, that makes, The kid's not on the wall. Further, I've no idea what... The Baroness seems... I better not...
Pardon me, sir.
You a few minutes ago. Mrs. Miller made a good impression, but I imagine she has... idea what... The kid's not foot neck. I think the violin, but how can I think the violin, but how can I... Professor...
How can I help you, Constable Zelda?
Godspeed, Professor Lucien.
Thanks.
The good professor is hiding something. It will be... The Baroness... I better not bother. Mrs. Miller, but she... I imagine... An extraordinary... Yet... I may be quite... I'd better let him read... Inspector Lebron?
Anything to report?
I got Professor Lucien into his compartment using a pair of pliers.
Did you notice anything inside the compartment?
The window was open. Someone could have climbed out.
And the professor?
Acted suspiciously. He rummaged around in his leather bag.
And?
He seemed to have found what he was searching for.
Good. Good work.
Now, perhaps you could give me some information.
All right. We should...
What? The light's gone out.
Flashlights! Ah! Get off me!
There, sir. An envelope.
My dear Nico, you should take a closer look at the box.
What the dickens? It's a...
Away with it! Take cover!
Oh, dear. Oh.
Is everyone all right? Are you hurt? Quick thinking. Well done, Zellner.
I think the tunnel collapsed.
Then he's trapped. Hurry, we have to lock the second exit.
Sir, there's a fire up ahead. The engine's burning.
It's a distraction. Hurry, block the exit.
But, sir...
The fire will consume all the oxygen.
He's right, Inspector. A fire in a narrow tunnel is extremely dangerous.
Merde. Go to the front of the train, find the engineer, and tell him to move the train out of the tunnel.
Yes, sir.
Are you ready? You have to uncouple the freight car. You understand?
I understand.
I'll see to the passengers. They should all wait in the tunnel. We'll check each one in turn as they go out.
Let's get to it. A lot was damaged by the sudden stop, but the bowl was thick enough to survive the fall.